Teens of Reddit, what's the worst thing your parents have found on your phone computer? I lived with my aunt briefly when I was about 12 years old. One night my uncle hooked me up with a bunch of video games and installed them on my computer. My brother said he saw my uncle find my pee stash on my computer, but I assumed he was fricking with me. Well, next morning my apparently very uptight aunt barged into my room while I was on the computer and told me that there are some things on your computer you need to delete. I immediately realized my brother was telling the truth, and so under my aunt's burning gaze I went to the P folder to delete it. Only I have so much adrenaline going through me that instead of just deleting the folder itself I decide to click it open. So now there's a bunch of extra large thumbnail icons showing on my monitor of hardcore pee while my aunt is standing right behind me. This gives me another shot of adrenaline and my 12-year-old head is swimming. I try to select all of the files, but my hands are so dang wigged out that now instead of being able to select all of the thumbnails to delete them, I keep just double clicking on an image of a girl getting railed by some gorilla of a man. This happens around 3 more times as I am physically unable to make my hand work the mouse properly, and all I can think about is my aunt thinking, why in the world does this kid keep clicking on this crap? Eventually I finally delete everything. Writing this has made me realize I need to ask my uncle why he decided to be a rat next time I see him. This was golden. Before I had my own computer, I'd use my dad's desktop to browse the internet, listen to music, etc. I would message a friend of mine on Facebook quite a bit. We talk about a lot of stuff, but of course, mainly girls from school. Dad saw a few messages that were extremely explicit about a few girls from class, about wanting to be smothered by boobs and vag and stuff. One of the most embarrassing moments of my life. Extremely passionate diary entries about Daniel Radcliffe from the Philosopher's Stone era. I was around 11, and the diary entries were in epistolary format. CRINGE. Dear Joshua Felix Chan. Back in 1999 or so, my mom was embarrassed that I had a song called Frisky Horns on the computer when we had to get it fixed. I told her it barely had any lyrics and it wasn't naughty at all, but she was worried the computer guy would think it was. When we got the computer back, the guy said I had some interesting music on there, late 90s techno, and she said see, the only reason he listened to it is because it had Frisky in the name. I'm so embarrassed. The dude must have been very surprised. I accidentally sent my mom a fan fiction about SpongeBob getting gang up head. Little yellow sponge gets fricked in all holes by pointy pink star. When I was younger, my mom found lesbian pee on my comp. I blamed it on my grandma. Like others have said, my browser history, however, my mother printed them out, like Excel format, 4 or 5 pages long, like some sort of really screwed up Walmart receipt. She then sat me down and read them out loud back to me in front of my 2 brothers. I tried the Olay political fallback of deny when she dropped the bombshell. My email login was at the top and bottom of every list. This is really bad, but when I was 13 I was super afraid the zombie apocalypse was going to really happen. So I found and downloaded the Army's Improvised Weapons and Munitions Handbook. Yeah, imagine a 13-year-old boy with a file labeled explosives on his laptop. Man, I now understand why kids thought I was going to shoot up the school when I mentioned mixing 2 ingredients would make it go boom in chemistry. Plus I probably ended up on a list somewhere. Wetpsagames.com. And then I learned about deleting history. I remember this one. Parents didn't find. I found on the family computer. My brother would stay up late and look up a bunch of pee and he wouldn't clear the browser history. I, being a very nice brother, would clear it every morning. Eventually I got so sick of having to do that I changed the desktop wallpaper to say please remember to clear your browser history. I'm female. I was around 12 years old when my dad found bondage searches on the computer. MySpace searches for big-breasted women as well. It was a very, very awkward talk. He taught me how to delete my browsing history, too. My mom randomly asked for my phone, so I was like, sure. She went through my phone and I had forgotten that I downloaded a video from Fub about a few days before. She found it and it was a woman riding a guy on the couch. I was in 7th grade. So about 7 years ago. Makes me cringe and laugh. reminds me of my experience with this. She walked into the room I was in while I was on my laptop and read what I was reading over my shoulder. All erotica. I was like 12. She took my computer away and made me go pray. I was looking up a way to get high from household items. Mom was not happy or proud. She called me about it when I was 30 minutes into a weekend-long road trip. Sorry ma. When I was about 13, my mom found some satanic memes on my phone. They were jokes and pretty much parodies of the Just Girly Things Tumblr. You know, like getting your nails matching with your best friend. Just girly things. Like those. Except what she found was one that went, sacrificing your best friends to Satan and pledging your allegiance to the Dark Lord. Just girly things. With an image of someone holding a hammer and a nail on top of Justin Bieber's head when he was a coconut head and ready to pound it. Some real edgy humor. Boy, did this land me in hot water. My mom found it, swore I was legitimately satanic, and started shaking and putting her hands over me talking about the power of Christ compels you leave demon and crap like that. Was I really satanic? No, just freaking edgy and dumb in the 8th grade. She tells the family she thinks I'm satanic. She tells the pastor at my local church that she thinks I'm being persuaded by Satan to do evil crap. That I'm giving into temptation. So cue me. In this pastor's office says it's a church private school and so he has an office. And he talks to me about why Satan is evil and why I may feel like following him and not God. What's wrong? What's my home situation like? Just a very awkward conversation when he realizes I'm some naive kid who truly didn't really follow Satan. Took a while for her to believe I truly wasn't trying to be satanic. She probably still thinks it was serious, and if it wasn't, then it was too edgy and dark for me to be joking about at that age. But yeah, that's the worst thing. Never been caught lacking with P. Satanic memes on the other hand, yes. This is beautiful. My parents found my 19 GB meme folder on my PC. Don't know how. Now, the whole thing was full of edgelord satanic crap too. My dad saw it and asked for the zip file so he could look at them. He liked them. My mom saw too, and she lost her crap. My dad said it was a virus. What they have found. Hentai I saved years ago as a curious preteen. What they haven't found. About 40,000 words worth of smut that I've written. Potential landmine just sitting on your computer. I was actually 20 when this happened, but still good story. Eating dinner at a restaurant with mum, aunt, uncle, grandmother, roommate, and a couple of family friends. I take out my phone to show my roommate, who sat beside me, a couple of funny selfies I took wearing his sunglasses. I'm swiping right to show him more photos, and then there's a dong pic. A big veiny red old dong pic. We both jump violently in surprise. I make a sort of squealing sound and we both blush. My mum is sat opposite us and gives me a funny look. She looks like she's about to ask, then decides against it. We eat dinner. Lol gay. When I was like 16 or 17, my parents found a nude picture on my phone that I sent to my boyfriend at the time. They each separately came into my room to lecture me, cry about me being a heathen, and held up the picture of my bare butt the entire time. And then they came in together to pray over me because they thought Satan was trying to take over my body. I made my stepdad a Tumblr as a joke when I was 16. I forgot about it and assumed he never used it, only to get a text 2 years later when I posted some finally 18 nude saying that I don't need to show the world my boobs. Oops. Well, he is right. When I turned 18, my first thought wasn't posting nudes. Of course, I'm incredibly hideous. Nudes of my then girlfriend. She thought I have them to blackmail her if I needed to and made a big story out of it, including talking to her father. They found out through my browser history that I was an active participant of a pro-anorexia forum and they read all of my pathetic posts on there. I also had an accountability thread where I kept track of how much I starved myself, so they were really thrilled to find out about that. That wasn't a good time at all for me. Well, I hope you're doing better now. You know how when you're reading YouTube comments and you see one of them mention something that seems completely fake and made up, but you have to look it up to make sure? Also, you know how Google uses autocomplete when whatever you're searching for starts with the same few letters? Kind of like how your subconscious reminds you of that one time when you came home from school, and right as you're about to sit down in your chair your dad walks past your room and causally says, "Looking up more of that pregnant penguin pee lately?" This has been your public service announcement to remind you to always delete anything out of the ordinary on your browser history. Man, it sucks when my mom walks in on me looking for $3 Club Penguin porno Fortnite Minecraft frick. Before smartphones, I had a collection of printed P photos. My parents were computer illiterate enough so I didn't have to clear my history. Forgot to pick one of the photos up one day after doing my thing. Got along talking to and grounded. When my mom found all my dark suicidal memes. Like this comment to instantly die. Obligatory, not me but my sister blah blah. Anyways, my sister is showing my grandparents something on her phone. She walks away for a moment to talk to me, then goes to take her phone back. The first thing she notices is that the Google Assistant was scrolling through her gallery and was showing off the personal pictures she sent to her boyfriend. She's hoping it didn't show, but my grandparents are looking at her very strangely. Thankfully, she had underwear on in the pictures and they didn't include her face. We were able to write it off as being from our weird cousin, but it was still too close for comfort. Google Assistant was barred from the gallery after that. Hentai. It's art. So this was funny. I must have been about 15 at the time. My half-sister, 3 years younger, was caught by her dad looking up P. To be fair to her, my mom decided to search both hers and my search history. Oh no, JPEG. I played it cool while my mom scrolled through months of my search history. I sat in my room watching YouTube or browsing the internet every day. Lots of P. Worst thing she finds is a Shane Dawson video titled "She Licked My Ballzxd" or something like that. OMG, what is this? It's just a silly YouTube video. Click on it, it's okay, I swear. She gets bored after a few minutes. Continues scrolling for a few more months worth of search history. Okay son, glad to know I can trust you, and gives me a hug. I beat off that night to some hardcore crap praying my thanks to the incognito gods. I regret nothing. One time back in day my brother printed out a naked girl photo from our family computer and printer. It was not HD to say the least. He apparently hid it in the household computer desk. Mum confronts us a while later about a picture from a web address called dumpster. We never got in trouble of any sort but think she was more worried about viruses. Also, I'm pretty sure one time my mom went to use the printer and there was a backlog of orders yet to print. They were also P of some sort. Cringy memes. Hope your parents beat the crap out of you. When I was much younger, middle school, my mother happened to grab my phone to look for something, and, just my dang luck, I had forgotten to close out of the hub. Especially unfortunate was the fact that this was when 18 and abused ads played as a banner, and my unsuspecting mother tapped that ad as that's what she thought I was watching. So now she thinks I'm into that very unpleasant side of P, and I had quite the talking to. Thank God she didn't scroll down and see what I was actually watching. Embarrassing to admit but gay stepbrother fanfiction. Reverse. I found is it unhealthy to swallow lots of CM? Guess they don't want to make the same mistake twice. Accidentally sent my dad a Cyanide and Happiness comic, specifically the Jesus marionette. If I have children, I hope they intentionally send me C&H comics. You have nothing to be ashamed of. Knuckles Rule 34. I have so many questions. Weird ass hentai that may be part of my username. I went through a period when I obsessively looked at P. About 12 yo. I actually won't jerk off or anything. I just watched it cause the concept of sex was so new to me. The problem was, I would do it on my mom's computer, because I didn't have my own. I would do it when she was out of the house walking our dog, but I never knew she was coming back until I heard the click of the front door lock opening. So I had about 4 seconds to close the browser and run to a different room and act like nothing was going on. Well, one day I was a few seconds too late, and my mom poked her head in the office just as I was closing the tab. She immediately checked the history and found everything. Her solution was to remove the door from the office room so I couldn't have privacy in there. Finally, a mom with a reasonable response. I wouldn't want someone else jacking it in my office chair either. My conservative Catholic dad just took my 16-year-old brother's phone and found 2 videos of him in a gay strip club and him taking shots from the bottle. This was roughly 5 years ago when the entire family shared a computer, a very crappy one at that, overheated in an hour of cancerous Facebook game playing and browser tabs froze constantly. One time I didn't get lucky enough for the tab to close in time for my dad to gain sight of the screen. The whole tab went blank as that's what it tended to do when it froze. Yet the title of the tab only read one word which my father had to read knowing full well it was an intentional search. Horsecock. Overwatch ante. A man of class I see. My dad saw my interest in computers at an early age so he bought me one. There wasn't any real pop-up blocker standard back then so I stumbled upon videos of girls mud wrestling somehow. One thing led to another and my dad ended up finding my search history. The next day my dad took away the computer and gave me the talk. Somehow. I found this wonderful thing called Omegle. I told her to come and have a look, we could video chat with other people. Mum poked her head over the laptop screen just as Big Cock Wounder 49 jump up on video. Comments 5 years of sexual questioning and belief I was gay. Mortified doesn't do justice for how I felt that day. I never opened Omegle again. My dad once found an NSW conversation I was having with a male interest at the time. He read the entire thing back to me aloud, told me I could be found guilty of being a risk in a court of law, and showed his friends the entire conversation including pictures because it was appalling and disgusting and he needed advice. Blood on the dance floor. They were dark times. I used to run multiple P accounts on Instagram and Reddit. I had 2 co-administrators and we would collate Rule 34P from subreddits and P sites. This was in freshman and sophomore year of high school. I don't even remember how I got busted, but I had to black ops that crap. Forced one of my co-admins to take down the main account and then I quit everything involved and laid low. Basically, my parents found Undertale P on my phone. Not my proudest moment. But why Undertale? Chat logs with a person that tried to abduct me. Oh yeah, I got my butt beat and told to stop talking to that person or else it'd get beat again. Nothing cause I'm the best at hiding stuffs. Hid my brother 7 years ago and no one has ever found him yet. This one time I was going into TeamSpeak servers with our community infamous Whiner in the Bunch prank. This prank involved making a website on Wix that validated our status as a representative for those with small male parts. To further the hilarity, pictures of small and gross dongs would be placed into our TeamSpeak profile avatars. We actually did convince people to sign up and had flipped the story to get mods and players banned from their communities. We were terrible. Anyway, I was in the midst of laughing my butt off with my pals and finding a small and disgusting dong to put as my picture. My dad walked in on me doing this. Immediate shame was felt on my part. Yes, I still pranked that night. There is a video on YouTube, deep somewhere. You have been visited by the wealth rat. Subscribe in 12 seconds and he will share his wealth with you. Like and subscribe, you magnificent person.